So this is a free video that I'm doing for one of the comments on a post on my YouTube channel. So I think on that post I pointed out that I had issue with my Z9 fuel supply and how I fix it. So let me read the comment. It's from Olushola Peters. It's when you say follow the proper diagnostic procedures, what do you mean? What I meant was when your Peugeot vehicle has or is showing symptoms of malfunction, you don't just go and start doing cut and join or start doing guesswork or start doing trial and error or they give the car to a quack to diagnose for you. These are electrically controlled um, vehicles. So first thing you need to do is to understand what are the kind of things that can cause that kind of symptom. Now it might not be for everybody because if you're a DIY person, you might know may have ideas. Okay, what some kind of symptoms some components will give when they are faulty. But that post I actually posted was also to let people know, okay, even if you don't have idea, even if you're not a technical person, have a technical person do the diagnosis for you. Because I explained or described how I did the diagnosis and how I did the repairs and fixed the problem. So if you don't know how to be able to dictate, okay, oh, I'm having this symptom, what could be the cause? How will I do the diagnosis? Have somebody that will understand it, do it for you, rather than giving a quack to do. The reason why people prefer to give quacks, yeah, we use this word quack most times is because those guys hardly charge for diagnosis or probably charge you much lower. So you rather risk spending less, even though you know you are likely going to create more problems on the car by spending that less money to fix that problem. So, so proper diagnosis for somebody who is technical or interested in doing repairs on his Peugeot vehicle, what that means is, number one, you need to understand or know the symptoms of some of the components on that vehicle that works with the engine when they are faulty. They usually give one or two peculiar symptoms. Some symptoms can be caused by up to 5 sensors or components, you know, yeah, sensors component, because we are talking about electrical now, or it could even be a mechanical uh, parts. So a symptom can be caused by up to 5 or more components when they are faulty. So when you know what kind of symptom, uh, for example, I had low fuel pressure issue, which I showed on that post. So how did I know that it could be low fuel pressure issue? Because of the kind of symptom the car gave when I tried to start the vehicle. So rather than beating about the bush, first thing you do is rule out the first suspect. And the first suspect usually is the simplest to do. I didn't even plug in a scan tool because of the kind of symptom the car was giving. So I knew the first thing to do is check the fuel pressure with the right tool. I didn't try to, some people, they will tell you they move the fuel supply line on the engine and attempt cracking the engine. If fuel comes out, you can tell from the flow of the fuel from the fuel line that the pressure is enough. That is wrong. Remember, the from the gauge, from the fuel pressure test I did on that gauge, it showed fuel was actually coming. to the engine, but the pressure was not up to the stock PSI. So because of that, the engine refused to start. So just because the fuel is flowing from the fuel line does not mean it's enough. So the gauge, the fuel pressure gauge, the fuel pressure tester will tell you exactly if the pressure or the PSI is enough to start the engine. So if it's not enough from that tester or the gauge, you know this where the problem is. You don't need to start touching any other thing. So you limit your diagnosis on the fuel supply. So that was what I did. I didn't do any other because that, like I said, you start from if your car refuses to start, what could be the cause? You just have a mental list of the things that can cause a hard start or a non-start in a vehicle. And the simplest, the easiest, not even the easiest, so the first thing you are supposed to check on an EFI car is the fuel pressure. Once you start having a non-start issue, the fuel pressure, it has its own a device you can use to do that. So no guesswork. So that's what I mean by proper diagnosis. There are some symptoms that you don't even need to plug in what's it called, fuel pressure gauge. In that case, or you need a scan tool. That should be your first call or first thing to do while diagnosing the vehicle, or trying to troubleshoot to know what is causing that symptom. There are also some symptoms you may experience on the vehicle. You don't even need to touch or do any electrical diagnosis. You just go fully mechanical. Know that this is caused by a mechanical component. Now, when you understand, okay, this kind of symptom can be caused by certain mechanical parts. Like it could be the gearbox, it could be the engine itself, it could be your ABS, or maybe your brake disc, your pad, so it all depends on the system. That's what I mean by proper diagnosis. But because these cars are electrically controlled, so I always uh, want to talk more about the electrical uh, uh, issues that has to do with the electrical, because the mechanical ones, this local or quacks can actually figure it out. Or at least one thing about the mechanical is whether you do cut and join or all those things, they can actually tolerate it. The only thing is you waste your money by removing and putting something else that is still okay. But the electrical, there's a different ball game. So that's what I mean by proper diagnosis. Then the next thing is a video on this will be much appreciated. There's no such thing as a single video on how to diagnose a vehicle. It's not, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as do a video on how to diagnose a Peugeot vehicle. Because like I said, they can come up with all kinds of symptoms. How you diagnose a hard start issue is different from how you diagnose a non-start issue. Because a non-start issue, you don't probably may not even need to plug in what's it called, a fuel pressure gauge. Because if the starter is not even cranking the engine, why bother to even check the fuel pressure? So in that case, you probably may not even need your scan tool. You may have to go straight to maybe your fuse box, your fuse, or you even pull out your starter, or use your multimeter to check if your power supply is getting to the starter, or is even getting to the fuse box in the first place. So there's so many ways. See, you are looking at saying do 1,000 videos, different videos on how to diagnose a Peugeot car depending on the symptoms that comes up. So it's not possible. What you do is, if you have interest in doing the DIY or diagnosis on your Peugeot car yourself, then you start. There are so many or thousands of videos on how you can do that on YouTube. It may not be on Peugeot, but they will be able to have idea. And then you also start reading. There are many articles and publications on car issues, diagnosis. You have to start because like, you need to understand first the work of all these sensors that work with the engine, the components, the other mechanical, and also um there are some are not even how do I even put it? You know, in fact, like I said, the simplest thing is you have to dedicate your interest and also have some passion in it if you really want to know. You have to read every sensor. You have to understand how they work, the function of that sensor, how they work with these other sensors to make the engine work better. So that with if the start sound malfunctioning, well, for since you've understood all the said this how these sensors work, and this is what they will do when they are bad, you have idea. Okay, this kind of symptom that I'm getting can be caused by this or that or the other sensor because of their function. And this symptom shows these functions are likely not working, or these sensors are likely not working because these are their functions. So you now limit your diagnosis on those few sensors. You do a mental list and now start to rule them out. It could be maybe just a scan tool is enough to know what exactly which of them that is causing it. But there are sometimes a scan tool may not even help you on that case. You have to go beyond that. But it's always good, depending on the symptom anyway, to start with scanning the vehicle and then know where to focus on. Because depending on the symptom, like I said, or the issue, it may narrow it down for you. So you focus on that rather than trying to do what some of these work do. They call this why I join it here. For example, most of them, what they do is if fuel is not coming to the fuel injectors are not supplying fuel to the injectors. Most times they will run a direct connection to the battery or the fuse box to power the fuel injector directly. You know, start cutting, before you know it, the car becomes a mess. Instead of trying to diagnose to know, okay, what is causing the fuel injectors not to get power supply from the fuse box, from the ECU, without touching any cutting or touching the wire. You may just fix the problem by removing this part, put another part, the issue goes away. So it's not doing one video thing. It's not possible. There's so many ways of diagnosing vehicle that 100 videos may not even be enough to show all those things. But like I said, when you have interest and passion and spend, because as you are downloading, you have to go online, be reading, downloading, or start buying some manuals. There are so many. If I tell you how many workshop manuals I have, you probably will not believe me. Start reading, buy. You have to spend too. There are some workshop manuals that you may not get free. You have to buy them. So it's not I'll do one video how to diagnose. It's not possible. Okay, I hope this have cleared this for you.